Alrighty, so we are in the middle of week 5 of the NFL season. For you today, I do have my running back tiers and rankings for week 5. One big thing to keep in mind for this week, there are 4 teams that are on bye. So if you're looking for certain players and you don't see them, don't be like, hey, why don't you have Josh Jacobs? You're going crazy. He's a top 12 guy every single week. I understand that, but I am telling you, the Packers are on bye. He will not be on my tiers and rankings. So just something to keep in mind. And if you didn't know, then now you should go check your roster and make sure you have everything set up correctly for this week's matchups because of those bye weeks and players not playing in week 5. So one more thing I do want to note, I saw this and it wasn't directed towards me, obviously. It was on Reddit and it was somebody saying like all of these rankings and tiers, these are just people copying other people's stuff because they don't want to look like idiots and they just adjust them a little bit. I hope that you guys know that I don't do that. My process is tape, stats, and then looking at matchups for the coming week and kind of putting people where I actually think they're going to finish on the week. So that is my process of how I actually do my rankings and tiers. I'm not trying to copy anybody else. I am trying to like actually project where I think they're going to finish on the week. It is funny though when I do that and I rank QB as like QB1 and ECR, I look after the fact, had him at like QB6 and the guy finishes at QB8. People want to call me out and be like, oh, you had him at QB1. Ha ha ha. I find that so ironic only because I'm trying to give you information that is not just copy and pasted. I am trying to actually help you be successful and win. I'm not mad about it. Like, it is what it is. But I just hope people understand, like, I'm not trying to copy anybody else. So if some of these look wonky, one of 3 things. Either that is really where I think they're going to finish, somebody is injured and I made the video before that and they didn't end up playing, or potentially, just maybe because it's happened one time before, I literally forgot to put somebody in my rankings because I didn't think they were going to play that week and then they did end up playing. You can only do so much, obviously, when it comes to the last couple of things because I'm filming these before Thursday night. I'm filming these before we get the final injury reports. So you got to be willing to adjust these if people play or don't play depending on that week. All right, so without further ado, we're gonna hop right into it. So at running back number 1, I have Jahmyr Gibbs going up against the Bengals. The Bengals are giving it up on the ground. They're gonna score a bunch of points. They're gonna be so far ahead of the Bengals in the 3rd and 4th quarter. Jahmyr Gibbs, Dave Montgomery are gonna smash in week 5. At number 2, Devon Achane is going up against the Panthers. This game may not be super high scoring. Doesn't really matter though. The Panthers are letting you get it done on the ground, through the air. Tyreek Hill won't be there. Devon Achane is going to be just involved all over the field, passing, running. Doesn't matter. Touchdown equity. The guy's smashing. He looks great. There's really not much else to say. He's going to finish the top 5 running back, barring injury or something crazy happening in this game in week 5. At running back 3, I do have Christian McCaffrey going up against the Rams this week on Thursday night. Don't like that there's no offensive weapons out there aside from CMC. Kind of like a double-edged sword. He should pop off because there's nobody out there, but he could be a little bit more limited than normal, which is why I don't have him as number 1 or number 2 on the week, because there's no one else out there for the Rams to like really have to worry about. He should be able to still get it done on the week, finishes a top 5 guy, crazy touchdown equity. Really comes down to how good the Rams defense plays against him and this 49ers depleted team in week 5. At RB4, I do have Jonathan Taylor going up against the Raiders. JT smashing. Guy looks great. Colts look great. Not really much else that needs to be said. Probably will be a semi-high scoring game, I'm hoping, because both of these defenses aren't fantastic. Either way, they're still going to run the football. Jonathan Taylor's the guy. Touchdown equity, target equity, smash. At running back 5, I do have James Cook. I talked about this in my matchups to exploit and avoid video. When it comes to James Cook in week 5, it is not my favorite matchup. Patriots are not letting you run the football effectively from the running back position, but that really doesn't matter as much for James Cook. Like, he may not really get there on the ground. I would be shocked if he runs for over like 100 yards or anything even close to that. Probably close to like 60 to 70 yards on the week. He's still going to be involved through the air. It's going to be a higher scoring game. He has a crazy amount of touchdown equity. Still somebody that you should feel confident about starting, but it wouldn't shock me if he finished as like running back 10 on the week, even though he's been smashing through the first 4 weeks. At running back 6, I do have Saquon Barkley going up against the Broncos. The Broncos defense hasn't been that great stopping the run for the first 4 weeks. At some point in time, they will get that figured out, but right now it is easily exploitable. This should set up where Saquon is able to get it done on the ground a little bit more effectively. Saquon's an elite talent, somebody you have to start every single week. This is a lower ranking than I've had him in the past just because of the matchup against the Broncos in week 5. I told you guys before I started the video, you just got to trust that some of these rankings are going to look wonky, but at number 7, I have Kyren Williams going up against the 49ers. I have him this high because there is a chance that in this game on Thursday night that the 49ers are not able to score points. If they cannot score points, that is going to set it up in the 3rd and 4th quarter where Kyren is able to run the football. He is still the number 1 running back on this football team. He has a lot of touch and equity, goal line carry carry equity. He's involved in the passing game. This is the highest I've had Kyren on the season, so I have a lot of faith, obviously, putting him this high. Still somebody you're starting no matter what. So Kyren Williams at number 7 for me in week 5. At number 8, I do have Javonte Williams going up against the Jets. The Jets are letting you get it done on the ground through the air. It is going to set it up where this Cowboys team is going to be able to score a lot of points against the Jets. The Cowboys defense isn't that great, so the Jets should be able to score a lot of points on them. Javonte's involved in the ground, involved through the air, crazy touchdown equity. He looks like his old self. It'd be kind of cool if he finishes like a top 3, top 4 guy on the week, but I have him safely here at number 8. At number 9, I have Omarion Hampton going up against the Commanders this week. Commanders are letting you run the football pretty effectively. Should be a pretty high-scoring game. Chargers are going to score. If Jaden Daniels plays, Commanders are going to score. It's going to set it up where it's going to be a close game, so it's still going to be viable to run the football. Omarion Hampton is going to keep on taking steps forward. I love this matchup for him in week 5. Like I said earlier, the Commanders are letting you run the football on them, and they're also letting you pass the football. It's just going to be a crazy week for the Chargers. I have so much faith in the Chargers team in week 5. At running back 10, the highest I've had him on the season, it is David Montgomery. Told you guys to not play him in week 4 unless you absolutely had to, and it was a good look by me. In week 5, Bengals defense, over 100 yards on the ground per game, 2 running backs through the first 4 weeks. They cannot score points. The Lions defense is pretty good. It's going to be a smash spot for this Lions running game in week 5. Him and David Montgomery are going to be able to run the football all over this team. David Montgomery will probably be somewhere between like week 3 and week 4. I don't know if he's going to score 30 points, but I'd be shocked if he does not break 18, 19, maybe even 20 points in a PPR format in week 5. At RB11, the highest I've had him in a hot minute, it is Alvin Kamara. The matchup this week against the Giants for the Saints should be pretty low scoring. It should set it up where they're still able to run the football pretty effectively in the 3rd and 4th quarters. It also should set it up where Alvin Kamara is able to exploit this really bad run defense for the New York Giants. At running back 12, I do have Derrick Henry going up against the Houston Texans. If Lamar Jackson doesn't play, we may see a little bit of a dip in his production. I know last season in week 15, 16, whatever week it was, he rushed for 147 yards and I believe a touchdown against the same Texans defense. There's not a lot of changes. I know Lamar might not play, so that should set it up where Derrick loses a little bit, which is why I have him here at RB12. I still think Derrick Henry has the juice. I understand he hasn't looked that great for the last couple of weeks. I don't think he just falls off the cliff like that, especially after what we saw in week 1. I think this is going to be a great bounce back week for him. With Cooper Rush being back there, they're going to have to rely very heavily on Derrick Henry. I think he's going to be able to get it done on the ground in week 5. At RB13, and I talked about this in matchups to exploit as well, it is going to be Chuba Hubbard going up against the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are bottom 10 in rush yards allowed to the running back position. They are giving it up on the ground. Chuba Hubbard should be able to get it going on the ground early and often for this Panthers team. If it ends up being a blowout, it's not the end of the world. He has touchdown equity. He has target equity on this football team still. It is a game that I'm hoping is pretty competitive. At running back 14, I do have Travis Etienne going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. It really is one of those situations where I feel like the Chiefs defense at stopping the run is pretty good. It could stymie Travis Etienne a little bit. He may finish more as RB 16, 17, but because of how good and explosive he has looked against some decent enough matchups at stopping the run, I think Travis Etienne will still be able to get it done to a certain extent. He has touchdown equity on this football team. If the game blows open and the Jags are behind, he has target equity on this football team as well. It should set it up where Travis Etienne either finishes as a high-end RB2 or a middling RB2 on the week going up against the Chiefs. At RB15, I do have Breece Hall. Jets are going up against the Cowboys. High scoring game. Should set it up where Breece Hall is involved on the ground, through the air. We do know that Braylon Allen's going on IR, so he is now the lead workhorse running back for this football team. We'll probably see Isaiah Davis worked in a little bit more with Braylon Allen being out, but it's going to set it up where Breece Hall is the workhorse running back for this football team again. It wouldn't shock me, depending on how bad the run defense for the Cowboys looks in week 5. If Breece Hall pops off and is truly like an RB1 on the week, I do have him obviously as a high-end RB2. At RB16, I do have Cam Skattebo. So far, Cam Skattebo has looked great. Super explosive, super physical. I like the way he runs. This matchup against the Saints should end up being lower scoring. That should set it up where Cam Skattebo is able to still be running the ball effectively in the second half. The other big thing too, the Saints are not letting you run the football like crazy effectively, but there have been glimpses of the 2024 Saints run defense where they are giving up large chunks and large runs on the ground. Cam Skattebo is probably in store for a decent chunk of yardage and hopefully has some touchdown equity in week 5. At RB17, I do have Ashton Jeanty. I feel like I've been really fair with Ashton Jeanty on the season. I've been slowly moving him down. In week 4, because of the matchup against the Bears, I moved him up. Obviously, I didn't know he was going to rush for all those bajillions of yards and touchdowns and everything, but I did move him up because of the matchup. This week, however, I think you are going to see a little bit of a return to form, and I guess I said all that to say, I think this offensive line for the Raiders is going to have a hard time going up against the Colts. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. I think it's going to be a very heavy pass script for the Raiders because of how much the Colts are going to score the football. I don't think Ashton Jeanty is going to be able to get it going on the ground as effectively. Maybe he's still going to get some targets through the air. That's kind of what I'm hoping. I have him lower because of all those things, so don't hate me. I am moving him around just like everybody else based on what I believe is going to happen, not based on everything else out there on the internet. At RB18, it is Kenneth Walker. The situation with Kenneth Walker sucks. The split backfield's dumb. The lack of touchdown equity is dumb. He is the best running back on this football team. It's not even close. Him and Zach Charbs are not even on the same playing field as far as like running back talent. I know that might hurt people's feelings. Don't care. Kenneth Walker's better. Hopefully this week against a really good Bucs run defense, he's the guy who has to get it going on the ground. And hopefully they don't let Zach Charbonnet take away Kenneth Walker's touchdown equity on this football team, and he can actually get a gall-darn touchdown this week against this Buccaneers team. Would like to bump him down a little bit because of how good Tampa Bay's run defense is, but it's hard to do because of the bye weeks and because there's not a lot of other good options that I like more than him on the week. At RB19, I do have J.K. Dobbins. The Eagles' defense really hasn't been that great at stopping the run. I do think that you're going to see J.K. kind of look not as great as he did in week 4, obviously, but somewhere between week 3 and week 4. He has touchdown equity on this football team. I'm hoping he gets a touchdown this week, obviously, as well. We're getting to that point in time because of bye weeks. I'm like, okay, who could get me a touchdown and who's going to get the carries and be the number 1 running back on their football team, even if I don't love the matchup? J.K. fits both of those bills. I like him here at RB19. He is inside the RB2 range. At RB20, I do have Quinshon Judkins going up against the Vikings. I don't love the matchup. The Vikings are a pretty good defense on the season. I do like the talent for Quinshon Judkins. The flashes are getting larger and larger. It's really not even flashes anymore. He's really just showing you what he can do. I don't know how great Dillon Gabriel is going to be. I'm thinking that Brian Flores is going to be like, hey, rookie quarterback, we're going to make it hard for him to throw the football. We're going to do that by taking away this running game. We're going to do that by making sure they cannot run the football effectively, and it is going to make them very one-dimensional. That is why I have Quinshon Judkins a little bit lower, because if I'm Brian Flores, that's exactly what I am thinking about doing. That does set it up where Quinshon Judkins could fall a little bit more of like a bottom of the barrel RB2, but because of the talent profile, and I'm hoping that maybe Dillon Gabriel can just miniaturely elevate this Browns offense, it still makes him like a viable middle of the road RB2 on the week, even though I don't love the matchup. At RB21, I do have Rachaad White. I wish Bucky Irving was playing. He's probably not going to play. If Bucky Irving plays, you're probably going to have to start him. If he doesn't play, Rachaad White should be a semi-viable option. The Seahawks are not really letting you move the football down the field, whether it's through the pass, through the run, really doesn't matter. Rachaad White's probably not going to be able to get it done on the ground all that effectively. He's probably going to have to get more involved through the air. He should have some touchdown equity, though, for goal line carries, unless Trey Tucker steals those away from him. So if that ends up happening, then he's probably going to be more like RB 26, 27, 28, who knows. But because of the weirdness of this matchup and Bucky not playing, Rachaad White's probably somebody you're going to have to start this week in week 5. At RB22, I do have Jordan Mason. I hate having him this low, but this Browns team is not letting you run the football that effectively. I know the Lions looked better when they played them in week 4, so that is the reason why I have him as a starting running back this week, only because I know there's still some viability for Jordan Mason on the ground. If Carson Wentz can get it going through the air, if that can actually happen in week 5, then Jordan Mason has a chance to actually be viable as more of a middling to high-end RB2 on the week. If not, he probably finishes here as more of a bottom of the barrel RB2. At RB23, I do have Woody Marks. I don't love it. This bye week is messing up stuff for me. I don't love some of these bottom of the barrel RB2s, and I'm sure you guys don't either. Woody Marks looked great in week 4. Don't know how it's going to look against the Ravens in week 5. The Ravens defense hasn't looked that great at stopping the run, so it could be a smash play for Woody Marks this week. So that's why I have him as an RB2, bottom of the barrel RB2, but he's still an RB2 because of the potential based on the matchup. The game probably won't be as high scoring only because Cooper Rush is probably going to start this week. So not a super high scoring game, which means the Texans can run the football, play some good defense. Ravens really can't stop the run very effectively. So Woody Marks could look really good, could look really bad. Don't know. He's probably somebody you're going to have to start because of the bye weeks and because of the other matchups aren't that great. And these other backfields are kind of wonky in week 5. At RB24, I do have Tony Pollard going up against the Cardinals. Not a super high scoring game. He should be able to run the football pretty effectively in the third and fourth quarters as long as the Cardinals don't just like blow the tires off of the Titans in week 5. I don't really see the Cardinals like blowing the Titans out, only because so far they really haven't blown anybody out. Even in games where they're ahead, they never really like keep building on that score. It's not my favorite matchup for Tony Pollard, only because the Cardinals aren't letting you run the football that effectively. Titans are going to score a lot of points, but again, based on the rest of the matchups, I have him as like a bottom of the barrel, like true bottom of the barrel RB2 on the week. Obviously, I'd rather start everybody else that I have ahead of him. Even some of the guys after him, you might feel a little bit more comfortable to start. When it comes to the guys who are coming after him, I have TreVeyon Henderson. I might want to start TreVeyon Henderson if I feel like the Bills game is going to be a super high passing game because he should be more involved through the air. It may be a good week to start TreVeyon over Tony Pollard. I don't know. It's kind of a weird week. Don't love it. Don't love all the matchups. From there, I have Ramondre Stevenson, Chase Brown, JCM. JCM or Bill is kind of an interesting play this week. It's a really super high implied scoring total for this football game. It could be a fun week to throw Bill into your lineup because Jaden Daniels is going to be back and he looked a lot better with Jaden out there on the field. From there, I have Zach Charbonnet, Isaiah Pacheco, RJ Harvey, and a surprising RB32, probably way higher than anybody else out there. It is Ollie Gordon. I really don't believe I've had him ranked on the season at all.
All right, so 2 more things to note really quick, and I just want to throw this out there. Check the news this morning as I was getting ready to go to work. So I told you guys I would try and do a little bit better about changing things up for these rankings if I saw something before I posted the video. So number 1, I did record this video yesterday, like midday around noon on Thursday. So the piece of news that was updated was Chuba Hubbard's not going to be playing. So you can take Chuba Hubbard, swap him out for Rico Dowdle, move him down, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 spots-ish. He's more of a middle of the road RB2 on the week as far as I'm concerned. It'll be interesting to see how he plays. Who knows? He could be in an explosive spot, just like Chuba is going up against the Dolphins this week. Number 2, because I know it's going to come up, why didn't I talk about Amari DiMercado or Michael Carter? They're both starting running backs, and I didn't really want to talk about it in the video, but I'll throw it in here at the end, I guess, for you guys so you can have my 2 cents. I don't like talking about players that I don't have enough tape on. I don't like talking about players before I've seen them actually play, like as the starting running back for a football team. So because I haven't seen that, I don't want to like just wish cast or project because I just don't want people to be like, I trust what you say, so I'm going to start him, not start him, whatever, and then it goes one of 2 ways. It's not because I don't want to be wrong. It's because I don't want to lead people astray or give you bad information. It'll probably end up being Amari DiMercado who starts. He has a little bit of juice. I saw flashes of that last season, even though he didn't have like a bigger role on this football team from the running back spot. Depending on my other options, if you don't have anyone else that's on my video that I have ranked higher, then I would start Amari DiMercado, shoot my shot, hope he ends up getting the majority of carries for this team, even if it's like 60%, 65%. In week 5 against, like I said, a Titans defense who is letting you run the football all over them. That's kind of like my 2 cents on that as well.
Alrighty, so there are my running back tiers and rankings for week 5. Hopefully this video helps you get just a little bit closer to winning your fantasy football championship in 2025. If you are looking for my QB and tight end tiers and rankings for week 5, I'll have that video around here somewhere. So don't freak out if you go watch that video and it's not exactly what you were thinking for the QB and tight end position in week 5. Hopefully I'll see you guys again. No, hopefully you guys will see me again real soon. And until then, y'all have a blessed day.